So welcome to the Access Screening webinar on what the Access Group are doing to help our heroes using background screening in this strange and different time. So in today's session we're going to cover a few topics. We're going to briefly explain what we're doing to try and help the industries we support through the pandemic. We're going to provide some useful updates with the changes to the DBS and Right to Work, and then some information on how the software that we provide works and what your candidate experience will be and how it helps in the market in terms of collecting digital ID and automating the process for background screening to get things done quickly and easily and get people placed as soon as you can. As a brief summary, this is what we've decided to do in the short term. Things may change in the industry, so please keep updated with us. What we've done as an initiative is pulled our resources together. There are a series of partners who utilise our software to extend the background screening service to their clients in a managed service operation. What we're offering to clients in health and social care and education and a wider field as well, if anyone needs background checks doing in the short term for upturns in demand, to help key workers get where they need to be and be compliant for the organisations we support, we're offering the chance to work with our partners, getting set up free of charge, with no contract, completely pay as you go, and get screening with a matter of hours. This is different to the way Access normally work. You can purchase this software yourself, but in the short term, given the lead times for training and the investment that might be required, we're offering the ability to get set up very, very easily and use this market-leading software to manage the digital transformation of collecting ID for Right to Work and DBS. It could be a very simple opportunity to get you screening quickly with the best software and really the expertise of the people and partners that we work with. I'll let you digest this screen yourselves. I'm sure you can all read. It's just summarising what we're doing to help clients in health and social care, and also we're going to extend this to a wider field of those who need it. But in the short term, certainly from our feedback from clients, it's in health and social care that we can help the most. So what you can see on the screen now is purely a list of available checks that come through the platform. Of course, DBS is very relevant right now and Right to Work, but there may be other things you need. You might need referencing in line with the CQC, you might need qualification checks, driving licence checks. There's lots available, whatever's suitable for whatever role, be it an entry-level position, right the way through to a senior appointment. There are checks available to make sure you're managing compliance. So here's a quick update on the changes to the DBS. The DBS have made temporary changes, which are now in effect, of course. So ID documents can now be viewed over video link and scanned images collected using software tools to get that ID as well. The applicant will still be required to present original versions of documentation when they attend their first day of employment or volunteering role. Our platform can help with this, providing a candidate portal that enables documents to be collected electronically, either by taking pictures with smartphones or uploading from a laptop or PC. Documents can also be sent to our partners and uploaded to a candidate file as well. Using the platform we have, either direct or through our partners, you've got the ability to collect this documentation and ID in a very timely fashion, very simply, very easy, so you've got your audit trails when you move forward. The link at the bottom will give guidance to any employers as to the frequently asked questions with the changes to the DBS guidelines. It is an ongoing project. We will always update our clients and those in a wider field as well, but feel free to get information by clicking on the link below. As of the 30th of March, the Home Office have updated the guidelines on Right to Work checks. Slightly longer in terms of the process than DBS, but I'm glad we've taken changes there as well. Very similar in terms of the changes to ID collection, given the light of everybody working from home, social distancing and minimal contact unless essential with others. So Once again, digital copies can be collected, video calls are acceptable, but on first day of employment, physical documents should be checked as well. We have an app that can help collect forms of ID. You can also work with our partners to put in a place to collect the ID that you require. As long as we're following the guidelines set out by the Home Office, then we're all protecting ourselves in the chain. The importance of getting things done quickly, easily and effectively is imperative, so anything we can support on that front, we will do, of course. In this section, we're going to look at the candidate portal. So once a background check has been requested and the candidate has clicked on their welcome email, they get taken to the candidate portal. If needs be, there can be a layer of security with two-factor authentication, where a code will be generated and either text or an automated phone call to allow them access to the portal. Any data that's being processed, consent needs to be granted by the candidate. In this case, we're going to just look at a COVID-19 enhanced DBS background check. So they agree to GDPR, and then they're into the candidate portal. In the next section, I'll show you a more in-depth candidate portal, show the capabilities of the checks that can be done. But for a quick DBS, this could be the candidate portal that you utilise by working with one of our partners. Logos can be added here, colour schemes can be changed, the wording on the screen can also be altered, and the list on the left can be changed to your terminology if needs be. Long-term integrations are available if you invest in our software, but right now the important thing is to get background checks processed quickly, easily, efficiently, to get key workers where they need to be to help the people who need assistance. So the candidate will then enter their details. Gender, date of birth, nationality, national insurance number, all part of a DBS form, will be entered. It's one single point of entry for a candidate, so it's not disjointed, and it's as easy as possible. The system is built to minimise mistakes, because any errors will delay processing substantially. Address history is always part of a DBS check. So at this stage, it's unsatisfied. The candidate can click on Add Address, enter their postcode, then click Find My Address. A drop-down list will appear, and they can select their address. If it doesn't appear, they can click on Enter It Manually, and enter the details themselves. If they need to edit the dates, if they lived in more than one place over the time period, simply tick this box and repeat the process to complete the timeline. We need a consistent flow of address history for DBS, otherwise it won't get processed in the timely fashion. We've now satisfied this section, so we can move forward. You have the ability to add further information if needs be, and I'll go into more detail on that on the next slide. But you may want to add additional questions. In this instance, I put a criminal declarations question. It could be things like uniform size. It could be a health questionnaire. It could be when you're available for work. It could be any number of things. Questions can be added. If you need additional information, you can use this area of the system to collect that, and they can be added to reports accordingly. You can also distribute documentation and request it as well. So whilst we're collecting digital ID at the moment, the system is really well suited for that. There's different ways you can collect ID in here. I'm going to show you the standard way where a candidate would provide the information and choose the route they go down, but you could agree what's acceptable with your partner and change that too, which you'll see in a subsequent section. But here we're distributing information. We've made these T's and C's mandatory, so they have to be downloaded and they have to be acknowledged. It could be any documentation. Anything that you require acknowledgement from a candidate can be built, distributed, and acknowledgement granted. Finally, they review and submit to make sure the information is correct, agree to terms and conditions, and then process the third-party checks. Again, very simple. The system has already populated the forms. Consent for the third-party check is then granted. If they have a current DBS certificate, an update service is available. Or if they don't, they can process DBS this way. And they're invited to fill out any missing blanks. In this instance, I've left the identity documentation within the third-party checks. Sometimes in healthcare, this is taken away from candidates as they may struggle to find out what they need to do, but the option's there if needs be. Our partners can guide you and work with you for the best way of getting the information from the candidate. The important thing is we can collect it digitally without any disruption. You'll see in the drop down, it gives the options of what's acceptable and the routes that you can go down. This is completed, then the DBS can be confirmed and processed without any delay. This is an example of a more in-depth workflow and candidate portal where we're collecting employment history. It could be that you need referencing done in line with the CQC standard, where you need to account for any gaps in the CV. Perhaps there's then some academic references that are required as well. And you can build a system to capture whatever you need, or you can inform our partners what you require and they can build it on your behalf. Again, everything configurable, look, feel and wording, and they go through the process as before, entering their core details. In the short term, I suspect mainly DBS checks are what's required, but in the long term as well, we still need to make sure that candidates are suitable for roles. Again, we're entering address history here using the postcode lookup feature. And then we move forward. If there are any professional qualifications or academic qualifications, they can be checked using our third-party providers. Simply details of the institution, the department, the course studied and the grade achieved, dates of study and referee details if required, and certificates can be verified simply and easily to make sure that qualifications are indeed accurate. If you're doing employment history, the time period can be specified or left open-ended. Perhaps you might need to go back from point of leaving education and account for all of their care roles. We can build specific forms in the background to make it easy for the candidates. There's also guidance available in these blue boxes which can be tailored, and typically our partners would have a support line, so any queries or questions from the candidates, they would have support from one of the partners or indeed your own internal recruitment team. Adding reference information is simple. They add the organisation in which they work for, the department in which they worked, the position in which they held. Things like reason for leaving can be added as well, but they are optional. Then dates of employment are added. And then a referee to contact as well. Then the organisation that they work for is included, the department of the referee, which would typically HR recruitment, and their position as well. There is a do not contact button. In normal circumstances, someone might still be in a role and may not want a reference to be collected. So the options are there. Then they can move forward. If there are any gaps in the timeline, a candidate could add what they were doing in that period. Again, this is something candidates sometimes struggle with, so our partners can pick this up and agree what you need and collect the information on your behalf and complete these background checks. Simply choose from a drop down of what they were doing. Documents can be uploaded, but again, if assistance is required, you can agree what's acceptable and what's not with one of our partners and move forward accordingly. We mentioned in the other section there are additional questions. This is a non-exhaustive list. Depends what you want to collect. We've got lots of options here: driving license checks, criminal declarations, transport, anything you need to ask, be it uniform size, be it availability for work, be it emergency contact details. You can use this area of the system to collect key information, and then you can move forward accordingly. Again, we can give them literature. And there's a further section here which we didn't show in the last one, where you could be asking here for documents to be provided. They could be taking pictures with their smartphones under the guidance of one of our partners to collect what you need. It could be something that they need to download, print and upload, or if you wanted to go a little more sophisticated, DocuSign is embedded within the system, so any documents can be created electronically and then signed, perhaps a contract of employment, a working time regulations form. It just depends on what you need to do. In the instance of a speedy setup, I have to keep things relatively simple and maybe look at the more in-depth screening as you go further forward, but just know that the options are there if you need them. Now the candidate has completed what they need to do. Again, they review and submit, provide their consent for the checks, and the background checks are then picked up by one of our partners or your own internal team. And that's as simple as that. So what you can see on the screen here is the Access Screening Compliance Platform. It's a central system that allows you to manage the background screening of any candidate, be it as a direct client or working with one of our partners. Whatever background check you're doing, be it DBS, credit, referencing, DVLA, they're all within one system. It automates the process of background screening so the admin burden is minimized, allowing teams to focus on what's important, which is getting candidates through the process quickly and easily. Once a candidate receives a link, they're trackable right through their application through to the completion of check. Red flags are highlighted with priority reviews so they can focus on files that may delay the process. Perhaps there's content undisclosure, perhaps referencing is wrong. It's a very simple thing to do, but the system allows the users to see exactly where they're up to at every stage. Whatever check you're doing, there are alerts available. Each candidate file has a workable actions tab, so it has CRM functionality, so our partners know exactly where they're up to with background checks, and more importantly, so do you. If emails aren't going where they need to go, they'll be in bounce requests. You can see what's been recently completed. And there's other widgets available on the right hand side, depending on what you're doing. We could look at more in-depth demos further down the line, but right now the important thing is to get candidates processed and deal with the additional volume in key sectors for key workers. So if you engage with one of our partners, they will configure you as a client and then create your workflows. Branding can be changed, your own logos, colour schemes and look and feel, so your candidates don't feel disjointed as part of the process. And then workflows are available. And depending on your requirements, you can choose what you need. It might just be a simple DBS check in line with the COVID-19 pandemic, or you might be doing referencing in line with the CQC standard. These can be configured here, selecting checks that are relevant, segregating data with tags, distributing documents if required, again, collect them if needs be, and if needs be, you can also put in electronic documentation using DocuSign. Agreed referencing is put in place, and any additional questions. You may never need to see this area, but it's useful to know that the system can be tailored so it meets your process, your hierarchy and your structure. Once a candidate's in the system, you get created an electronic portfolio. That's workable by either your own teams or one of our partners' teams, so you can go through the process of background screening. In this instance, we can see the candidate has had a series of documents requested, some employment history, and some data checks. Here we've got a credit, a basic disclosure, an identity check. And it's a workable file that teams can complete checks in an orderly fashion. Reminders and callbacks can be set. Checks can be performed on an ad hoc basis if needs be. GDPR managed. Documents uploaded if needs be as well. The point being, it's one central space for all the information to be stored, and reports can be generated at the touch of a button if you're audited, or if you just need to see the progress of a check. The system has very powerful capabilities, allowing reporting on background check details, status, and bespoke reports can be created as well. When you come to order a check, you'll notify one of our partners or utilise the system yourself, and you click the green button. What was configured in the background is available as a drop-down. Candidate details are entered, and then when clicking Start and Notify Candidate, a link is sent to the candidate, which again will have your logos, your branding, your own wording, and they then complete their application form for the check to be processed. So now we're going to look into the Right to Work app provided by Access Screening, which can be utilised by our partners as well. The app was built originally to simplify and streamline the process of Right to Work, allowing electronic documentation to be captured in the presence of a candidate. Now, with the changes from the Home Office, this is still a really useful tool for collecting forms of ID on the first day if you meet a candidate, but you can also use the web app as well to create your Right to Work process, adding documents there if required. So it will support your statutory legal defence, and is tailored for non-expert users to go through the process dictated by the Home Office, so you are fully compliant. The app, as with the other system as well, has integrations and open APIs, so it can be linked into other systems if needs be, and can be configured to the hierarchy and structure of your business. Really useful additional features. Right to Work can be complete, and then additional documents can be captured in terms of things like DBS or whatever else you need to do. The system that sits behind it can be tailored and configured, setting up specific users who have rights to do certain things and not to do others. It has full reporting and management information in there, so you don't miss any expiry dates for BRP cards or international visas. It's iOS and Android compatible. All the content is secured. No documents are stored on any device. It's all encrypted with banking grade security. It works in both online and offline mode. There is an MRZ check, so a machine reading zone that will scan the algorithm on a passport or a visa to give you a fraudulent document check. If you're out of signal area, you can still complete a check and it will sync at a later date. This may not be relevant at this point in time, but there are useful tools available, and they can be done through copies taken either in the system by a partner or by yourselves using the app. A very simple and straightforward way of managing Right to Work. Really affordable and really important to make sure you stay compliant. In the next section, you can see a brief video of how it works. So we're going to have a look at the app in practice now. Really simple to use and straightforward. Once you go in, you've got the options of a new application or an existing application. If it's new, it'll be on the fly and blank. If it's existing, it'll be pre-populated and controlled centrally by HR and recruitment, who pushed out the invites for the candidates that need to be checked. You simply enter the candidate's details, so first name, surname, middle names, date of birth. The app will guide you through what you need to do to adhere to Right to Work. You then select nationality, which will give you a list, and the next stage will present the documentation. You may build tags as well for things like location, client, gender, allowing you to report further down the line. Once the documentation is presented, you take pictures of the images, and the app will guide you through that, scaling it and putting it in the right positions. It will scan the documentation to make sure it's legible, which you then confirm as a user. The next stage is to read the questions out to the candidate in their presence and get yes/no answers. The app is intuitive enough to know if one of the answers will prohibit the right to work check moving forward. It will warn you and you can take appropriate action. The final stage is to take a picture of the candidate to prove you're in their presence at that point in time. You can skip this area if needs be and take a picture at a later date. Any further documentation will be requested and then we get immediate pass or fail with right to work.